dissect into each one of these, okay? So the who, all right? So I have a couple of questions. I'm going to answer them here in just a few minutes, but thank you for the questions. All right. So the who, all right? In this one, what you want to do is you want to create a contact list. You want to know who does what. Put it on a spreadsheet and publish it internally so that everyone knows who does what, what's their phone number, what's their email, what's their cell phone number, and people aren't chasing around each other for that kind of information, okay? Very important, otherwise you'll waste a lot of people's time. All right, tools and setup, I'm not gonna repeat what we said earlier, just make sure that you put it on the spreadsheet, you make sure everyone has the equipment, the tools, and now this is important, okay? Backup. I'll give you a very live scenario. In each hub, we needed to have somebody, and eventually it became the trunk of people's cars or in people's garage, where if printers broke down, okay, we made money by printing policies, okay? So we needed everybody at their offices and anybody at home or anybody in the car. We actually bought even printers for people to print from the back of their trunk whenever they were at a site. They would take their laptops, Bluetooth to the back of people's trunk, and they would print. It was fantastic. It was really, really cool. But anyway, when those printers broke down, the last thing I wanted you to do was sit there and go on Amazon.com and go find a printer and wait for a printer to come back and replace your. So we had to have backups strategically placed so that all you had to do was either drive within an hour, within 1 day there and back to go pick up printers or meet halfway, and just to coordinate. That took about a week, but it's the commitment to make sure everyone has the tools and that everyone's nearby, and we assign runners. Okay, so right now in the coronavirus, there's still some leniency to be able to get out only for emergencies. An emergency is if remotely things are shut down and somebody can go deliver, make sure everyone does the social distancing and make sure everybody washes their hands and everything, but you can do that. If you can't, well, then you have to give everybody a certain budget to be able to order from Amazon and online services to make sure that delivery comes to back, okay? All right, and so the supplies, make sure that everyone has to look, even down to pencils and pens. Don't make them have to share pencils and pens with their kids at home, okay? That's just not the cool thing. The cool thing is when the kids are actually doing their homework, because now most of us have become homeschoolers through all this, when they're doing their homework and they're using your pens, okay? And they like, oh, great, cool, a nice little Team World pen, you know, or something like that. All right, so make sure everybody has the tools. All right, so the goals, make sure that they're clear. Okay, we'll cover that in just a few seconds, a few minutes as to what I mean by all this. Make sure that they're agreed upon, okay? This is a major landmine that I've stepped into many times. I believe that I know what their goals and what their measurements, measurable performance metrics should be, their KPIs, and I talk with them. They're in agreement, they have it. Yeah, but my supervisor doesn't agree. And the owner of the company doesn't agree. And sure enough, I'm sitting there saying they're doing great, and my supervisor is saying no, they're not. So make sure that they're not only clear, but they're agreed upon, that they're smart, meaning they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic in time. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on it because I'll cover that in about 1 minute when I get to item number 5. All right. Then number 4, the non-remote tasks. Very similar to what we talked about earlier. Create a list, and you're going to have to do this on an ongoing basis. On many of the scenarios, what was normally done by the remote offices, we realized, you know what, they're spending way too much time doing it, have somebody at the home office, and for 6 months, that became the issue. Then later we realized, you know what, let's put something back out to them. So it's an ongoing conversation, but you have a list, and it's easier to make decisions instead of having to start from scratch all the time. Assign owners to them, because remember, if you assign the cleaning of the bathroom to everybody, no one's going to do it. But if you assign slots of time for people to clean the bathroom, and you assign owners to it, then you can hold people accountable. And human nature basically says most of the time, you just have to check a few times and everybody steps up to it. Why? Because they know you're checking. So assign owners. Don't just say y'all. Okay. And then connect people. So here's what I mean by that is if I'm at home and I'm depending on some type of work of these non-remote tasks to be done by somebody at the home office or somewhere else, then connect me to that person. Let me know. See, that's why that list is really important on item number 1. If I know their phone number, their email, their cell phone number, then that's all you need to do to connect me. I know who to contact, and I know who's been assigned those. But if I assign this to, let's say, the scanning team, and I have no way to know where the scanning team, only to find out that half their scanning team is also working from home, and I can't find the person because, I got to get in contact with Tim. Yeah, but who's Tim? Who's Tom? Who's Mary? Who's Lori? Wait a minute, no one answers me, and it becomes a nightmare because you didn't connect people to each other. So make sure that you introduce folks. You send out emails. Hey, y'all, this is who's handling. Lori, talk to Bob. Bob, talk to Tim. You guys go for it. You got your list. Stay in touch with each other. Let me know if I can support you all. All right, number 5, progress reports. All right, so here I want you to notice 3 and 5 are connected. All right, so the progress reports is where this whole thing works or where this whole thing falls apart. Okay. And I will tell you this. In the last week and a half, I've sat in about 4 or 5 webinars similar to this. And yesterday I was sent a very awesome 15-page slide deck for a PowerPoint of another company that's doing it. Man, I wish I could do PowerPoints like they did. And I'm looking forward to their webinar. It's going to be next week. But I want to encourage you in something, okay? Something I'm noticing is that when we talk about setting up remote teams, this item number 5 is oftentimes the most overlooked. It's assumed, okay? And 5 and 3 go together because if 3, you're going to set up goals, then you have to have some way to create a report that I can hold you accountable, I can see your progress, and I don't have to ask a lot of questions. So just heads up, whenever you go into a webinar or you go to other talks that are similar to this, if they don't cover the areas of reports or goals, don't think that, oh, they didn't talk about it, so it's not important. No, it's important. They just didn't talk about it, okay? But now you have to, because it's at the core of making this work. Everything falls apart if 3 and 5 are not set together. So what does a progress report look like? Let me give you an example, okay? Here's a simple document, okay? Landscape, okay? Company name at the top. The goals are at the top. Their progress report is in the middle. And then at the bottom is what issues do they have that I need to go fix. So at the top, this is an example of a recent company that called me and said, Maurice, I now have a bunch of people working out there in this particular case with salespeople. Okay, I need to know how to put their metrics and their goals in a simple 1-page document. And for me, y'all, this is the cat's meow. Okay, if you don't do this, it becomes your Achilles heel. 1-page simple report that you know at the very top what my goals are on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. However, you don't manage to the daily. We'll talk about that in just a minute. You manage to the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, and the annual. Okay, and then on a weekly basis, they pretty much go and enter their numbers in their report. That report can be Salesforce software, or it can be, if you're a law firm, it can be Needles. If you are working for a food bank, then you go and put it in there. If you work for an engineering firm, you put it in the respective software. If you don't have a centralized software, then you use spreadsheets. I don't wait. If the company doesn't have software, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to wait for the company to make a decision. I will create with each person a 1-page sheet of paper, and I will say, are these your goals? Yes. Do you agree with these? Good. I check with my supervisor, or I go the other way. I go to my supervisor, the owners of the company. I say, what is everyone's goals? We set it together. Either way, there's got to be buy-in and agreement. And then the remote person is the one that fills this out, and they fill out the numbers for each one, and they color-coded themselves. Green, where I've hit my numbers, or I went above my numbers. Yellow, when I'm almost there, but I had a little, I backs a little bit. Or red, when I'm just not making a lot of progress. And if you track this on a weekly basis and you're regularly emailing each other after your weekly calls, then you're creating documentation in case somebody basically just falls through the cracks and they don't want to perform anymore, and you've provided them the training, you're at least providing documentation. This is legal and very ethical and human support, okay? But it's simple. It's 1 page. And at the bottom, see the top two, the 2 items at the top, the standards and goals and the weekly performance week by week, that's how I hold them accountable, okay? How I support them. The one at the bottom where it says obstacles and challenges, that's where they tell me what I need to do to support them and to train them. And they hold me accountable if I don't meet my deadline. So I should have made those one of yellow or red just to prove to make the point. This is how we hold each other accountable. And then when I go to my leadership meetings and I meet with my supervisor, I'm not coming in with commentary. I'm not coming in with opinion. I'm not coming in with really anything except the reports. As a matter of fact, if they're online and in a shared folder, you just send links and everyone knows where to go link. So whenever I meet with my supervisor and he or she are sitting down, all right, how's your team doing? We're not moving into commentary. We're just looking at the reports, looking at the issues. And what's beautiful about this, my experience is that when my supervisors look at the numbers and they see the green and they see that there's more green and yellow than yellow and red, what they're more willing to want to do is go fix those issues at the bottom. If they see a bunch of red and they don't see effort, it doesn't make anybody want to go fix problems at the bottom. So it's a negotiated agreement. You do your part of progressing and meeting your numbers on a regular basis from a distance. I don't have to be there. You know how to do your work, but I'm supporting you, okay? You need to tell us what we need to do in order to support you, and this document becomes extremely, extremely powerful.